Good morning, students. So in the previous video, we had studied about this dysentery, where we had told about completely about dysentery. What is dysentery? What are the types of dysentery? So types of dysentery we had studied about this amoebic dysentery and bacillary dysentery, where we had completely dealt about this dysentery. So today in this video, I'll be dealing with the next topic, that is tracheoesophageal fistula and esophageal atresia. So that is tracheoesophageal fistula and esophageal atresia. Okay, tracheoesophageal fistula and esophageal atresia. So what is this now? TEF and esophageal fistula. Atresia, we'll just see this. So this is usually our congenital malformation, that is tracheoesophageal fistula and esophageal atresia. It is usually a congenital malformation in which the esophagus terminates before it reaches the stomach. So that is usually a tracheoesophageal fistula and esophageal atresia are congenital malformation where esophagus terminates before it gets attached to the stomach or before it reaches to the stomach, and usually a fistula is present. Okay, so because the fistula is present, that forms an unnatural connection with the stomach. Okay, so usually a fistula will be present, which usually forms an unnatural connection with the stomach. So tracheoesophageal fistula and esophageal atresia are usually a congenital malformation in which the esophagus terminates before it reaches the stomach, and then it usually forms a fistula which usually forms an unnatural connection with the stomach. Okay, which usually forms an unnatural connection with the stomach. So that is usually about this definition. Understood? So that is usually a fistula where it forms an unnatural connection with the stomach. So next we'll see what are the different types or different classification of this esophageal atresia. So they are usually mainly 5 types. In the type 1 it is esophageal atresia without fistula. So the first is type 1, which is usually known as esophageal atresia without fistula. So this is the second most common type. Okay, this is usually the second most common type, and there is no connection of esophagus. Okay, there is no connection of esophagus to the trachea. Okay, so there is no connection of the esophagus to trachea. The upper part, that is proximal part, and the lower part, that is distal part of the esophagus are blind. So there is no connection between the esophagus to the trachea. The upper part, that is proximal part, and the lower part, that is distal part, are usually blind. Okay, are usually blind. So that is type 1. It is usually esophageal atresia without fistula. Okay, it is esophageal atresia without fistula. So in this, usually the second most common type. Okay, it is usually second most common type in which there is no connection between the esophagus and the trachea. And this is usually what happens. The upper part, that is proximal part, and the lower part, that is distal part, it is usually of the esophagus are blind. So this is type 1. And next is type 2. So type 2, it is esophageal with TEF, that is esophageal atresia with TEF. Okay, esophageal atresia with TEF, that is tracheoesophageal fistula. So this is rare type, and it is found in less than 1% of all cases. Okay, it is usually a rare case, and it is found in 1% of all the cases. So it is upper segment of the esophagus. Okay, upper segment of the esophagus opens into trachea. Okay, upper segment of the esophagus opens into the trachea by a fistula. Okay, upper segment of the esophagus which opens to the trachea by a esophagus. Okay, by a fistula. Okay, by a fistula, and the distant and the lower segment is usually blind. Okay, the distant and the lower segment is usually blind. So that is usually about this thing. So normally type 2, it is esophageal atresia with TEF. Okay, esophageal atresia with TEF, where the upper portion of the esophagus opens into the trachea. Okay, opens into this trachea by a fistula, and then lower as well as the distal segment is usually blind. Okay, is usually blind. So this is type 2. So type 1, it is esophageal atresia without fistula, and type 2, it is esophageal atresia with TEF, that is tracheoesophageal fistula. So next is type 3. Type 3, in this usually it is same, that is esophageal atresia with TEF, where 80 to 90% it is usually seen. So this is the common type. Okay, it is usually common type. So this is usually condition where the proximal or upper segment of the esophagus connects to the trachea completely by a fistula. Okay, connects to the trachea completely by a fistula. So it is 80 to 90% of the cases it is seen in this with this, that is type 3, and is the common type in which the upper segment or the proximal segment of the esophagus completely opens into the trachea by a fistula. So that is type 3. And next is type 4. Type 4, it is usually here in the previous type, that is type 1 and type 2, only upper segment will be connected to the trachea. Okay, in the type 2 and type 3, only the upper segment will be connected to the trachea by connected to the trachea by a fistula. Whereas in case of this type 4, both upper and lower segment of the esophagus will connect to the trachea. Okay, both upper as well as lower segment of the esophagus will connect to the trachea, and this is usually fistula, and there is esophageal atresia with fistula. Okay, there is esophageal atresia with fistula between both upper and lower ends of the trachea and esophagus. There is esophageal atresia with fistula. Okay, there is esophageal atresia with fistula and between both upper and lower segment of trachea and esophagus. So that is type 4. And next is type 5. So type 5, it is H-type TEF. Okay, it is H-type TEF. It is found in 4% of the cases. Okay, it is usually found in 4% of the cases, where it is not diagnosed at the birth. Okay, it is not diagnosed at the birth. So both upper and lower segment of the esophagus will open into the trachea by a fistula, but esophageal atresia will not be there. So here also both upper and lower segment of the esophagus opens up into the trachea, but this is not there. Like esophageal atresia will not be there. Okay, esophageal atresia will not be there. So this is usually the different types of esophageal atresia. And so that is so type 1. So type 1, in this usually what happened, this is second most common type of second most common type, where there is no connection between the esophagus and the trachea, and both upper segment and lower segment are blind. And type 2, so here the upper portion of the esophagus will open up into the trachea, and it is seen in 1% of the cases. Okay, it is usually seen in 1% of the cases, and it's rare condition. Okay, it is usually rare condition. The lower segment will be blind. And the type 3, about 80 to 90% of the cases will be seen with this, where completely upper segment will open into the trachea by a fistula. Okay, by a fistula. And next is type 4. In this, both upper as well as lower segment will open into the trachea by a fistula. And the type 5 here also, it's seen in only 4% of the cases, where upper and lower segment of the esophagus opens into the trachea, but esophageal atresia will not be present. Okay, these are usually the different types classification. So next is clinical symptoms. So what are the symptoms that is commonly seen in this? It is mainly failure to pass suction catheter. Okay, when there is a fistula attached, or when there is when the esophagus is connected with the fistula, see, suction catheter cannot be passed. Okay, suction catheter cannot be passed. So therefore there will be failure to pass the suction catheter. So that is usually there. Next, vomiting will be there. Abdominal distension will be there. Okay, vomiting will be there. Abdominal distension will be there. And then frothy saliva. Okay, frothy saliva, like soap water when it is there. So froths will be coming out when the soap water. When we add soap powder in the water and when we mix, we see some frothy type. So that is same thing. Same type, like similar way, you can see saliva, like a frothy saliva in the mouth, nose, and also they will be drooling. Along with this, they will be drooling. So that is usually along with this, they will be drooling, and also they will be accompanied with cold and cough. Okay, they will be accompanied with cough and choking. Okay, they will be accompanied with choking and coughing. Okay, they will be accompanied with choking and coughing. So that is usually there. And this infants, in few cases, if this infant usually becomes cyanotic, okay, infants will become cyanotic and stop breathing, okay, and stop breathing due to the aspiration of the food, okay, due to the aspiration of the feed, okay, due to the aspiration of the feed. So in infants, so they will usually become cyanotic and they'll stop breathing due to the aspiration of the feed. And also they will be having respiratory distress, okay, they will also have respiratory distress. So that is usually the symptoms that is usually commonly seen. So the symptoms usually it is this abdominal distension will be there, like vomiting will be there, nausea will be there, and also they will be having frothy saliva from the nose, mouth, as well as drooling. This is accompanied with choking and so they will be accompanied with coughing. And usually infant usually become cyanotic and they will stop breathing due to the aspiration of the feed. They will be having respiratory distress. So this is usually the symptoms that is usually seen in case of tracheoesophageal fistula and esophageal atresia. So how we diagnose this condition? So normally we go with history collection. That is where we will be asking the question, like history will be collected regarding maternal polyhydramnios, where the mother was suffering from any polyhydramnios. So that will be assessed, or that will be asked, that information will be collected from the mother. Then if atresia can be diagnosed, atresia can be diagnosed with the help of NG tube. So if atresia is present, NG tube will not be able to pass will not be able to pass 10 to 11 centimeter beyond the gum line. Okay, it cannot be passed 10 to 11 centimeter beyond the gum line. So first is history should be collected, where we will be assessing or we will be asking questions related if the mother was suffering from any polyhydramnios. Then atresia can be diagnosed when with the help of NG tube. So when NG tube, if it is used, it cannot pass from 10 to 11 centimeters beyond the gum line. Okay, it cannot pass 10 to 11 centimeters beyond the gum line. Then abdominal X-ray will be done, bronchoscopy will be done, endoscopy will be done. Okay, these are the diagnostic evaluation that usually we go. So that is mainly endoscopy, bronchoscopy, abdominal X-ray. Then we go with history, as well as atresia can be diagnosed with the help of NG tube when it cannot pass 10 to 11 centimeter from the gum line, so beyond the gum line. So this is the diagnostic evaluation that we do. So it's management mainly we go with surgical management. So surgical management is usually done in different stages. Like we go with, first is gastrotomy is performed. Okay, initial stage we go with performing gastrotomy. Then we go with other surgical interventions such as esophagotomy, esophagocoloplasty and esophagogastroplasty. Okay, then we go with esophagotomy, esophagocoloplasty and esophagogastroplasty. Other than that, we go with end-to-end anastomosis. Okay, we go with end-to-end anastomosis. So end-to-end anastomosis you have already studied in your GI disorders. So that is, you can just go through that. So that is end-to-end anastomosis. It is usually where this is done with the help of excision of the fistula. It is usually done with the excision of the fistula by right posterior lateral thoracotomy. Okay, by posterior lateral thoracotomy. So followed by intercostal chest drainage has to be done. Okay, followed by intercostal chest drainage has to be done. And this end-to-end anastomosis or this surgery should be done in the infants who are more than 2 kg body weight. Okay, it can be done only in the infants who are more than 2 kg body weight and you are not suffering from any pneumonia. Okay, you are not suffering from any pneumonia. So that is surgical management. We go with different stages, like first gastrotomy it is done. Other than that, we go with esophagotomy, esophagocoloplasty and esogastroplasty will be done. Other than that, end-to-end anastomosis will be done by excision of the fistula, followed by fistula by right posterior lateral thoracotomy, followed by followed by intercostal chest drainage is done. And this surgery should be performed in the infants who are more than 2 kg body weight and who are not suffering from any kind of pneumonia. Okay, so this is about this tracheoesophageal fistula and esophageal atresia. So where it is a congenital malformation where esophagus terminates before it reaches the stomach, and a fistula will be formed which will be connecting an unnatural connection between the stomach and the connection with the stomach.